Hey everybody, welcome to Shooting Gear Reviews, straight up guns and gear reviews. Today we are back at it with the UMAREX AirJavelin Pro right here because this thing is just too much fun to put down. Let's go check this out. Oh yeah, I think I could get something offhand with that bad boy. What do you guys think? Honestly, this has been truly one of my favorite guns to get out and shoot. I love everything about it. But I thought what really would make the most sense for a video with the AirJavelin Pro and just giving you guys some great valuable content is giving you some tips and tricks that I've learned now over having had this thing for the past several months of really what are the best practices and some things that you can do to help make your shooting more fun with the AirJavelin Pro. Plus, we're going to have some fun shooting it today, and you guys are going to get to check that out. So definitely stay tuned. You're going to learn 3 tips and tricks for your AirJavelin Pro. Let's get it started. We've got a nice 3/4 inch thick piece of oriented strand board or plywood right here. Solid, no holes in it yet, but we're going to see if we can change that. Find out if this thing's got enough power to punch an arrow all the way through that 3/4 inch thick piece of plywood. Definitely lodged really solid into the plywood. So next up we've got the AirJavelin Pro arrow, which is just slightly different fletching design and goes a little bit faster. So we're going to see if this sinks in any farther. Here we go. Oh wow, look at that. The first one went farther, like way farther through. All the way up to there. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Oh yeah, baby. Sank it that far through the plywood. I mean, it just was through it, like no problem. Alright, so my son Jade and I are hanging out today shooting the AirJavelin Pro, and as I promised, I've got some tips for you guys. And the first tip I'm going to lay on you, tip number 1, is the most important tip with this gun, and that is don't shoot yourself. I'm going to show you the best way to avoid doing that right now, and that is in the order of operations with how you load and cock this rifle when you are shooting it. Of course, you're shooting something with fletchings, so you want to make sure that you orient those fletchings the same every time to achieve repeatable accuracy. But in order to do that, what you kind of have to do is look sort of straight down the business end of this guy. And that's not particularly safe, especially if you're not doing it correctly. So what I advise everybody does, of course, is place the rifle on safe, make sure you've got your safety on, and that the rifle is not cocked. You definitely want the rifle to be uncocked or not cocked when you're loading your arrow. Then you slide your arrow on. This is where you're going to have to get a little bit dangerous, and that is you kind of look down to make sure that that white fletching is pointed straight up and down, kind of lined up with this little seam in the top of the plastic. That's what I do every single time, and that way I know that my arrow's lined up and hopefully gets me the best accuracy. Now, when I'm looking down this, I definitely don't want the gun to be cocked, right? So that's why I wait until after, got the arrow on and seated. You got to make sure it's kind of done 2 little clicks to be all the way on, and then point it in a safe direction, go ahead and cock the rifle, take your safety off, and now you should be pretty much ready to not shoot yourself. So we've got the AirJavelin Pro right here. We've got 3 of the old design arrows and 3 of the new design arrows. We've got a young shooter, an old shooter, and a target out at 25 yards. Let's see. You want to have a little competition?
Yes, I do.
All right. He's just excited because he knows he's going to probably win. Let's see who comes out on top. I've got the old arrows. I'm going to go first. He's going to go second with the new arrows. This should be pretty fun. Ooh. That looked pretty close. Oh, dang. All right, so we're heading down to check out how that turned out, but I have a feeling it turned out really good. I told you guys, this UMAREX AirJavelin Pro is dang accurate. Check this out. Shot number 1, shot number 2, shot number 3 right there. That one got a little bit of wind. What do you think, buddy?
That's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, but, I mean, there it is. AirJavelin Pro, guys. Let's continue this competition. I'm curious to see just how bad I'm going to lose because I'm feeling pretty confident with that right there. Oh, that was a good shot. Ooh, did you get it or was that just a little? Oh, that one hit low
way
too.
low.
We are pretty close to a tie here. I mean, you got these first 2 right there in the white with negligible difference as far as my first 2 shots. And your third shot, it was just a little farther away. Mine went there. You know, obviously I aimed here, maybe an inch away from where I aimed, and yours was closer to probably about 3 inches. But still, yeah, pretty good shooting, buddy. Tip number 2 when you're using your UMAREX AirJavelin or AirJavelin Pro like I'm using right here is these things are surprisingly accurate, darn accurate. And unless you like buying a lot of arrows, you need to avoid Robin Hooding your arrows or coming close to Robin Hooding like what I just did here. And you'll see I pretty much destroyed my fletching on this one because I shot 2 shots aimed at the same aim point, and this one came so close to Robin Hooding this one that it caught the fletching right there on the top of this one and resulted in that tear, and now that arrow's pretty much shot. Just pick different aim points, I mean, unless that's what you're trying to do, because this thing will definitely Robin Hood arrows all day long. Alright guys, so we know that this will shoot an arrow through metal, but today we're going to find out how much metal. We've been using these shelves to test some big bore air guns. If you haven't checked that video out, you definitely probably should, but wait till you're done with this one first because you're going to want to see this. So we're going to take 2 AirJavelin arrows that are sort of already a little bit messed up on the fletchings, and we are going to see how many of these pretty thick metal gauge shelves we can go ahead and punch them through. I don't think it needs any much more description than that, right? You guys know what we should expect, other than who's wagering on how many shelves it'll go through. The 72 cal made it like all the way through, I don't know, like 13 or 14, I don't know, 12, 11, I don't know, a lot. This arrow, I'm guessing it's gonna stop maybe like here-ish, probably make it through 2, maybe 3, you know, and tap the 4th. But only one way to find out. Wow, I can see from here that it went through several. Oh, 2. It went through 2. Got one more arrow. We got one more arrow. Let's do this. Oh, that one almost. It like made a little dent here. See that on the third? Made a little dent. All right, there you go, guys. It will go through solid 2 pieces of metal. Thing's got some power. All right, so my third tip for the AirJavelin Pro has to do with the arrows and the fletchings. Now, from time to time, what you're going to have is an arrow that potentially sinks in too far into your target, and that'll cause the fletchings to bend, because this thing's pretty powerful, especially the way it likes to hit the same spot over and over again. I know that my target out here has gotten some spots where definitely, that's been hit there already a bunch of times, and when the arrow hits, it's going to sink in all the way to the fletchings. So that's one way that your fletchings could become damaged. Now, if this happens, man, that's kind of a bummer. You're thinking, gosh, I just lost an arrow, right? These fletchings are all bent up and arrow's not going to fly straight. Well, there is a way to save that arrow and make it usable again so it can fly another day. And I discovered this actually from a comment in one of my previous videos with the AirJavelin from one of my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. And that is just soak these fletchings in a little bit of boiling water. So what I did was boil some water in a pot on the stove, hold the arrow over the sink, pour some of the boiling water onto the fletching, kind of run my finger over it a few times, and seemed to straighten them out pretty dang nicely. Maybe not exactly as good as they were right out of the box, but they're going to fly just as fine as any other arrow would, and it keeps your arrows in your quiver rather than in your trash can. So there you guys have it. That's tip number 3 for what you got to do when you own an AirJavelin or AirJavelin Pro and maybe you messed up some of your fletchings. Thank you so much for tuning in to Shooting Gear Reviews today. If you like this video, definitely check this one out right up here. This is where I did the review with the AirJavelin Pro. It's in the link right up here. Go ahead and click it. Keep watching some more Shooting Gear Reviews content, but that's it for this time. I'll see you guys over here.